Hi friends and welcome back to the channel. My name is David and in today's video we'll be crafting a blue belt by hand. So a few days ago I got this Sedgwick blue leather strap and a small piece of the same leather from the Buckle Guy company, along with the hardware you're looking at that will be used for this project. These straps come in different widths, and in this case we'll be using a 1.5 inch strap since we're going to be working on a more casual belt for some jeans or chinos. So as you can see, the strap is very thick. I believe this is a 10-ounce piece in fact, so it comes in a very generous thickness, which I strongly appreciate since that's going to give the belt a lot of structure and won't need any lining whatsoever. So the first thing we need to do is to cut out the strap at the desired length. In my case, I'm cutting it to the size of a 34-inch belt. So I first need to square both sides of the strap and then give the leather piece its design on the tip. Here I'm going to round the cuts at the tip of the belt, and to round the corners of many of my leather projects I like to use small circular objects like coins or any templates. So whenever I'm using a coin, for instance, I like to pass the blade of my knife in straight lines but different angles, so in the end you have a nice rounded edge that you can sand off with a Dremel. Now, as I mentioned before, there's no need to line this belt since it's already thick enough, but also this leather strap seems to have a lot of waxes, so gluing it might not be very appropriate for this particular piece. For the loop and belt holder, that's a different story, but for now we'll just work our way with the strap as it is. What's really important though is to remove any excess of fibers that are left on the edge of the strap so we can paint and polish the sides neatly later on. So with an edge beveler, which in my case I'm using a number 2 from Sedgwick, we can remove these extra fibers on the back side of the strap until we have a nice soft edge. Now I'll chamfer the other side of the strap so that the small leather piece that will hold the buckle looks more clean once installed, and then move on to give the edges a first coat of paint with some vernice heatable edge paint and leave this coat to dry for around 30 minutes. Now at this point I thought on stitching the belt since this leather looks really nice as it is, but decided to go for it since even though this strap doesn't really need any stitching since there's no lining present, stitching the belt can avoid the leather elongate too much when worn for long periods of time. This is because while the leather is a flexible material, the thread is not, so stitching the entire strap can avoid any exaggerated deformations too quickly on this project. However, I really like how the strap looks just as it is, so I'm definitely going to make one without any stitching in the future. To mark the stitching line, I used an edge creaser that gives me an offset of 4mm from the edge of the strap and a pair of 2 and 6 prong diamond chisels from Sedgwick for the stitching holes. Now for the stitching of this belt, I had a really tough time deciding on which thread to use. I thought on using a cream color thread at first to give that belt a kind of a marine look, but after a second thought, the cream thread might have looked saturated, and I wasn't sure if I would wear a belt with a very contrasting stitching, so I ended up going for a marine linen thread instead and stitched the belt in several runs on a stitching pony.
It's time to see the other side, the other side. 'Cause I just gotta get you out my mind, out of my mind. I think it's time to see the other side, the other side.
And once that's done, I hammered the stitches slightly on the belt and then move on to give the strap a second coat of paint on the edge. Now, I originally was using a navy color for the first coat, but didn't turn out as dark as I wanted to, so I went on and used a much darker blue tone for this final coat.
I just need to know what's on your mind. Tell me what you need and you can call my name, I'll be around.
You'll see the paint looks actually kind of dark green, but that's normal and will become a nice marine color once dry.
I think it's time to see the other side.
And after the paint is totally dry, we can polish the edge with some Tokonoli varnishing gum and a small piece of canvas, as you can see here. So once we finish with the strap, we can move on to craft a smaller piece that will hold the buckle to the strap together, and this time I'll be using a small panel of the same leather, but since it's way thinner than the strap, I'm going to line the piece with some black pigskin. Now this piece has several perforations to insert some Chicago screws later on, and also has a wide opening for the buckle tip. So at this point it was easier to make a quick pattern and fix it to the leather as a guide. Once it's all cut out, we can paint, stitch and polish the edges of this piece and move on to the small loop. So to measure how long your loop needs to be, you can use the rest of the leather pieces of your belt and simply measure the thickness of all the pieces combined and then cut your loop to your desired length. Then you can paint, stitch and polish the piece to give it a nice finish like the rest of the pieces. Great, so at this point we only need to punch the holes of the belt and install all the pieces together. So we'll start with the front part of the belt and make 9 holes with a separation of 3/4 of an inch between them and start the first one 2 inches from the tip of the belt. These holes are also going to be painted, and once they're dry, we'll move on to the holes at the back of the strap where the buckle will sit. And finally, all we need to do now is install the pieces together. So we'll start by inserting the buckle tip to the small leather piece we made a while ago and screw the first 2 screws to the strap, making sure the loop is inserted in place, and then close the belt with 2 more screws behind the loop's position. Now, if you don't have a screwdriver at hand, like I did, you can use a metallic ruler or other tools to screw the Chicago screws to the leather, and once they're well fixed, we have finally finished our project. So there you have it, friends, a handcrafted leather belt that hopefully will last many years of wear. As always, friends, thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it useful. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up, and if you're into leather crafting, remember to subscribe to the channel for more upcoming videos like this one. Also, make sure to hit the notification bell to be the first to know whenever I post a new video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I'll leave you here with some final shots of the belt. Have a great day, everyone.